Good afternoon, everybody. I am Nancy Ganzakoffer Quinn, and I'll be dropping Ganzakoffer shortly. I have an appointment today to get my license redone.
Congratulations.
Thank you. It's so exciting. So we'll be doing this transition slowly over time so nobody loses where to find me. But I'm excited to be here today with you, Carleen, to talk about boosting your business for 2025 with smart financial foundations. So
Yes.
tell everyone what you do first and how they can find you, and then let's get into some smart financial
Sure.
foundations.
So I'm Carleen Lamay, and I run C2 Accounting and Business Support. We are an accounting firm, but we're focused on bookkeeping for small businesses. We happen to work with a lot of interior designers. And you can find us on our website, which is linked somewhere around here.
It is up above your
Up
head
above.
is
Okay.
the link.
There it is.
Let me just do some sharing in my Facebook group so everyone there can see our broadcast. And here we are here. Okay, so tell us, let's start us off. Smart financial foundations. What does that mean?
Well, okay, it's the beginning of the year, right? So it's time for all of us to reflect and look back at 2024. So I'm being dramatic because it's one of those things where we all do it right at the beginning of the year. But
Yes.
it is important, I think, to look back and see what you accomplished last year. Because I think, and I can't speak for yourself, but I know for me, when I don't always take a minute to step back and I'm just in it, I don't really realize what I've done and how much I've accomplished. So taking a minute to step back and look at some numbers from last year, and more importantly, if you have something like QuickBooks, comparing it to previous years, because that's really going to give you like an ego boost, I think, of like, wow, I really have come a long way. And for most of us, we've grown, even from if you look back a couple of years ago. So taking a minute to reflect and then look at the lessons that you learned in business in general, but also in finances, because we all make stupid mistakes with our money. I still do it. I'm not immune to it at all. So just kind of seeing what lessons you've learned, and then let's start planning for the next period. Now we're doing this now at the beginning of the year, but I think you should be doing this every month, every quarter. Like you shouldn't just wait until January to do this because I feel like you can make more incremental changes if you do it more frequently.
Okay, so quarterly, looking at your numbers, comparing it to the past, seeing how you're doing, what your trajectory is, so to speak, and to see if
Exactly.
you need to make adjustments.
Yes. So I'm going to share my screen really quickly. This is a really brief show and tell. So I'm going to look over here at my other screen. This is a sample company of QuickBooks. And I want to just show people who are watching how to run a P&L, which we've done before, but I want to make sure they know how to look at those comparisons. So if you go to reports, you're going to go to your profit and loss, or P&L, or income statement, depending on what you call it.
Okay.
Let's go look at last year. Now, this is a sample company, so obviously I don't have a lot of data, but this is last year. What I like to do, if you can compare it to a previous year by dropping this little icon here which says
Ah, look at
compare
that.
another period. Now, because
Okay.
this is a demo, I don't think it has any previous year data, but you would just click this button here. You can do it if you want to look at dollar change, percent change, and then hit run report. Specifically, though, for this illustration, I want to show people going by month. So, because in the next thing we're going to talk about is kind of setting your financial GPS or budgeting for the year. Again, because it's not a sample, it only has a few months, but looking at the trends. So, like for example, this particular business, they have job materials, and this is kind of how it averages, and looking for like the trends and the spikes, or here looking at the revenue, like, okay, I had this much in this month, that much, and oh wait, December is a lot more. What happened in December? And kind of going, well, was that an anomaly this one December, or is it every December I'm going to expect a spike in either revenue or expenses? And you can use that to start planning for the next periods. So I'm going to
Okay.
stop sharing. I just wanted to show that it's not great, but it helped a little bit.
Yeah, no,
Um,
and I think what helps the most is just understanding that you can go to QuickBooks and run previous year reports and do your comparison and go, okay, what did I do differently last year,
mhm.
this year, right? Whenever someone comes to me and says, I'm not getting any traffic on my website, or I'm not getting anybody downloading my free opt-in, I would go, okay, let's look at traffic and see what's happening. And this is kind of like doing that for your numbers. Let's see
Yes.
the traffic, the projections, the up, the down, and figure
Mhm.
out why it's happening.
And a lot of
right?
us will notice that there are trends. When you're keeping books, and this is why I do recommend having something like QuickBooks, when you're keeping books, you can then actually go in and look at the trends. Whereas if you're keeping a spreadsheet, it becomes a lot harder to see that those kinds of numbers. But I will say budgeting sounds scary to people. So start simple. Just put it in a spreadsheet if that helps. Just get started. But here's what you do want to forecast. You want to look at your recurring expenses, the things that you're going to pay for every month. But more importantly, those one-time recurring expenses, the one you pay for the whole year because it was cheaper
Yeah, I just
for the
got
whole
hit with one
year,
of those.
and you forget that you signed up last year and you get that
Yes.
$1,000, 2,000, whatever it is, and then because now it's not discounted anymore, it's the full price. Make sure you budget for those. So looking back, this is another reason to look back at your expenses and see what did I pay and when. So it's like, oh,
So
that's
you
right.
can put it into the buckets of your budgeting and know that you're going to need
Exactly.
enough money in January of
Exactly.
next year to pay for your email system or
Right,
something that
exactly.
you
If you
bill
if you
once a
if
year.
you pay for Zoom for the entire year, that's different than if you're paying, the $14 a month, and making sure you have that cash. Um, then then you could forecast, I say, large expenses, the ones that you're planning on. And maybe you haven't done it in the past, but like maybe I know that this year I'm going to rebrand, right? So I'm going to have to figure out how I'm going to pay for that. And most of us will probably use some sort of credit, but even then you have to have a plan to pay it back. So how am I going to pay for the rebrand? Or if I'm looking to hire an assistant or whatever, making sure you kind of plug those numbers in. Because if your expenses are always, let's say, 10,000 a month, but you're about to hire someone whose salary is going to be $5,000 a month, your budget's going to look a little different once you hire that person. So if you can step back and plan for it and see it before it happens, it feels less anxiety provoking
Yes.
when you kind of
Yeah.
plan for it.
Okay.
Then you want to plan for taxes. And taxes falls into two buckets. We want to plan for income taxes. And I always get people who say, well, how much should I put away? Well, it depends.
I know. I love when people
Right?
want definitive answers for things
It's
that you can't do that.
well, I can't because I'm not your tax accountant. So in this case, you want to talk to your tax accountant, and they should be giving you some advice on based on what you paid last year, based on your income, based on your projected income. This is what you should be putting away quarterly or paying quarterly. So that's a good thing. And then sales taxes. Even though we know sales taxes is not part of our revenue, it's just money we're taking in and giving back out to the government. If it goes into the bank account, sometimes people do not think about that is not my money. And if you're not paying sales taxes on a monthly basis, there are a few people who are still paying annually or quarterly, and they always are surprised by how much that they have to
I
pay
was
in
going to
sales
say, I
taxes.
feel like that's such a mistake to pay
Yes.
annually or quarterly. I know money in your pocket, you can be making money in
Well,
the bank, but
and it
it's
has to
not worth
also
the chance and the
Well, it also
penalty.
has to do with the government, whatever cycle they put you on. So if they put you on annually or they put you on quarterly, it depends on what your yeah, it depends on how much you've paid in the past, and they'll determine that. But
Right.
one of the things in QuickBooks that you can do is there's a sales tax. You know what? Let's just show. There's
Okay. That's
this,
what you do.
hopefully this has sales taxes, and I can't promise, but I can show them how to get to it. So
Okay.
in QuickBooks, under taxes, sales tax. It doesn't have it. Darn it. But right
Oh,
here, it will show you exactly how much you have owed in sales tax for any given period. So we'll have to do another
so
screen to
just do
show.
the steps again, even though this one
Yeah,
example,
so
this
just go
account.
to taxes, sales tax. It will pop up. It'll show all of the jurisdictions in which you've collected sales tax, and you'll have it there.
Okay.
Um,
Gotcha.
Stop screen. So in that case, you can always know, like for example, if you owe 5,000 and you only have 4,000 in your bank account, there's a problem. Making sure, because if you don't pay sales taxes on time, the penalties,
Okay.
they're
Yeah.
big, and so you
Yeah.
end up almost paying double what you would have had you just done it on time. So we've talked about reflecting, going backwards. We've talked about budgeting, looking forward. Let's talk about three financial habits I think every business owner, whether you're an interior designer or not, should adopt for kind of financial success. Um, Regular reconciliations. I'm always preaching about reconciling your accounts every month. And by reconciling, I mean going through the QuickBooks process of reconciling your books to the bank statement, to the credit card statement, to the loan statement.
But that's why
Um,
I have you.
Exactly, because you don't wanna have to do that. Um, Consistently reviewing your reports, just make it a habit. Even if you have a bookkeeper, you don't have to wait for us to send your reports for you to go into QuickBooks and look at them. Like, it's your books, it's your information. You're paying the fee, so go ahead and take a look at those. And schedule a time, put it on your calendar, weekly, monthly, quarterly. I think more frequently is better because the world's very fast paced and things change, and you wanna make sure you're staying on top of it. And then the number 3 is going to be scheduling regular check-ins with your financial team. That's your bookkeeper, your CPA, your financial advisor, your insurance agent, all those people that's kind of helping you financially to be successful, not just in business, but also in your personal life. You should have scheduled routine check-ins with them.
Oh boy, there's a lot to do all the time, isn't there?
But you know what? This is the time we're all like, we're going to do this and we're going to plan ahead. Put it on your calendar now. Go ahead and get on your calendar. Most of us have, a link where you can just schedule it. Just schedule these meetings,
It's so true. I mean,
put
you
it on
should
your
be,
calendar, get it
yes.
done.
Just like you schedule your client appointments for your calendar, you
Hmm.
have to schedule these very important things to run your business, which is a good reminder for me as well. It's time,
Yeah.
right?
And what it is the whole point of all of this is to get people to be more proactive and less reactive. Because let me just speak from the bookkeeper's perspective. There's nothing more frustrating than the client that you send financial reports to for 8 months. They never respond. And then they show up in the ninth month panicking, hair flaming, saying, "Well, I don't understand this." And I'm thinking, well, you've had 8 months and you're just now figuring this out or whatever it is. So that is very
Human
frustrating.
nature, wait till
It
the
is.
last minute.
Right. But
Hmm,
remember, lack of planning on your part doesn't make an emergency on my part. But it's just very
exactly.
hard and then you feel frustrated, like, well, maybe you're not getting what you're out of your relationship with your bookkeeper, but it's also a two-way street. It's a partnership. So making sure that you're,
Absolutely. You send the
yeah,
link every month for them to set up in a meeting with you. If they don't do it 8, 9 months later and they're suddenly panicking, it's their fault. And you can't jump through hoops to try to solve their problems in their
right,
time frame. You have
right.
your own time frame. Yeah.
And we'll always meet with you, but it makes our job a lot easier if we meet with you more regularly so that we can keep up with anything that's going on in your business.
And
Oh,
anytime you hear a bookkeeper wanting to meet with you regularly, that means they're a pretty good bookkeeper because most
we
people,
we
most
do.
bookkeepers are like, it's fine, I'm handling it. I don't want to talk to you.
No, no, I that's the fun part of the job. Like, I love talking to people. I get to do that. I love that. I have my team to do a lot of the bookkeeping. I get to talk to people all day.
That's good.
The other thing is, that was for every business, right? Those top three. Now, if you're specifically an interior designer, the other things you want to do is if you're using a third party design software like my Design Files or Mydoma, make sure you're actually every month reconciling the income from your design software to QuickBooks, and we've talked about that before in the past. There's a video somewhere in that in
In the
the
playlist
list.
on YouTube.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yep, because that is super important. That's how you're the only way it's going to be right is because things just don't always sync the way they're supposed to, or they don't sync at all. And you just want to make sure that they're correct.
But
Um,
somebody asked me the other day, they're like, but there's a percentage that gets taken out for the credit card fee, or there's a percentage taken out from my project management software. And then when it comes over to my QuickBooks, I'm like, call Carleen.
yeah,
She knows
yeah,
how to
exactly.
handle that
That's
stuff.
what we do. I mean, we can teach you, but by the time we do, your head's going to explode. And we can. And there are a few people who have been able to do it. But if you're a busy, growing interior designer, you should be out doing sales calls. You should be out designing spaces, not
Creating
figuring out.
relationships.
Yes, not figuring out strike fees. Let us handle that.
Thank you.
And
Thank
then
you.
the last one for interior designer specifically is reconciling those projects. I know that you asked them, well, how much did you make on this project? So getting to the point where you're actually tracking your cost of goods sold by project so you can know how much you're actually making. I
Yeah,
have
by project to see if that project was
mhm,
profitable or whether you need to make some adjustments in how you charge and when you charge and what you're charging for. How do you
exactly.
know unless you're doing that audit at the end? So
Exactly. And if you're working with us, you can run a P&L by that project at any time, and you don't even have to wait to the end because what if the project takes 18 months? You can still look at it month 3, month 6, and so you can kind of keep an eye and making sure that things are going the way they're supposed to. We have a mutual client. I'm not going to call her by name, but when she first started working with us, she opted not to do the tracking by cost of goods sold, and I think maybe 2 or 3 months in, she changed and said, "Yeah, I want to do that now." And she says it's changed her business. Like she just knows exactly how much she's making, and now she's going to be raising her, increasing her margins because she realizes she needs to increase her margins. I mean, that's
I think I
powerful
know who you're talking
information.
about.
Yeah,
You know
that's
what? It's funny because I'll get, as a business coach to interior designers, I get pushback sometimes when I tell them how much you have to charge and how much you have to put margin on your furnishings. And they look at me like, no one's ever going to go for that. It's like, well, that's what you have to do in order to be profitable. So
hmm
all the designers who you see out there who actually are profitable, not the ones who make it look like they're profitable and they're not, are charging appropriately. And they're finding out after they do their autopsies on their jobs, which types of jobs are
mm,
profitable. And I will tell you, based on doing this with hundreds of clients over the years, sometimes the larger jobs are the least profitable by percentage because they
mm.
have gotten nervous about the price and they have pulled back on their estimates and their pricing. And then at the end, they go, oh, I don't know if I want these large
I did
jobs
all this work
anymore.
for, yeah,
Right. So
yeah.
it's a great way not only to understand your finances and your bookkeeping, your accounting, but it's also a really great way to identify which types of jobs do you actually want
Yeah, I
and do you
agree.
have to change your pricing.
And you don't have to change it all in one fell swoop. You could do
Correct.
incremental increases. Raise your prices 5 to 10% a year to get to where you need to be. So you don't feel like I just raised my price, 100% overnight, which that may be harder, but at least you have the information. Again, information is power. So once you have the data, you're not making decisions from your gut. You're making decisions from actual true data, which is a place of power and not a place of just passivity or being reactive.
Correct. Correct.
So yeah.
Beautifully said. Beautifully said. Okay. So quick recap.
Quick recap. Okay, so we're gonna go back.
Recap.
Yeah, sorry about that. Quick recap. We're gonna go back and reflect on 2024. We're gonna plan ahead for 2025. We're gonna adopt some financial habits like bank reconciliations, looking at our financial reports, scheduling time with our financial team. And if you're an interior designer watching this, which most of you are going to be, you need to be reconciling your design software income to QuickBooks and starting to track profitability by client project.
Love it. And I think you're the only person who talks faster than I do.
Well, I was trying to get it all in, but the good thing is you can play this back at half speed and slow it down. So
You know, it's funny. I always listen to everything on 2 times speed, but when I
me
try to
too.
listen to myself, I can't always catch everything. And I know I can't listen to you on 2 times speed either. So it's really funny.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. People are busy, and we want to give them
They
the
are.
information that they need and get them on with their day. So hopefully they can
Exactly.
go back and rewatch it. But if they have questions, they could just reach out to me.
Exactly. So go over to c2-acctg.accounting.com and get on a consultation with Carleen. If your books are messy, oh, now's not the time probably to be telling them to do this, but I'm sure you're still taking because now's the end of it's January and now's not the time to be hiring a new bookkeeper, but it's probably the time you need a new
It's,
bookkeeper.
it is. It is. Cleanups will take a little bit longer this time of the year, obviously, because we're working on closing out last year's, but we are still taking on new clients. So don't
Okay,
let
good.
that stop you from reaching out. Making a change is never easy, but now is as good a time as any. So
Plus, the change takes a little while to implement, right? So start now, start in January, and you'll get it done sooner rather than later,
yes,
right?
exactly.
So, okay. All right. Thank you, Colleen. Go have a great day,
Thank
and we'll
you.
see you next time.
All right, take care. Have a good
Bye,
one.
everyone. You too.
Nancy Quinn.
Thank you. Okay. Bye.